Welcome to another episode. My name's Tonka, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 events in 5 weekends. Madness, I'll let you decide. There's virtually no events on during the summer months. So as soon as like September and October creeps round, event season kicks off and there is, more events than you can shake a stick at. Me being me, I didn't want to miss out, so I wanted to go to all these events. I just hadn't fully appreciated that they all fell on consecutive weekends. So what were the events? It was Greetings from the Warp at the end of September. It was Attrition at the start of October. Then there was a one-day historical wargaming event called the Other Partizan at Newark Showground, which is really, really good. The big one was the Malmo Wargaming weekend in Sweden. And then the last event, I was hosting an event here in Peterborough. Was it too much? Yes, it was absolutely too much. It sounds like Hobby Nirvana, and yes, I had a great time, some really fantastic experiences, some really, really good games, but my days, it was hard work. But that said, I'm going to talk about these events. I'm going to talk about what they are, what you can expect from going to these events, some of my experiences. So starting off in September, it was a Greetings from the Warp event in Northamptonshire, here in the UK. So the way that Greetings works, so it's run by Andy and Chris. Essentially, they have 3 or 4 events a year, and they generally bring like a third party in to come and actually run the event. Now, I think it really works really well because it mixes things up, it keeps things fresh, you get different ideas, and it also gives people an opportunity and a platform to organise an event for 60 up to 100 players. To be fair, Greetings are the home of the biggest heresy event in the world, the Greetings Weekender in April. So it's a really good opportunity for aspiring EOs to basically come in and run an event without having to have the burden of providing that many tables or sorting a venue or organising food. And this event was organised by Ben, aka Prince of Slanesh Painting, and the Casual and the Damned. He was very ably assisted by Rich, John and Andrew. These boys actually have their own podcast. They've got a couple of videos available or a couple of episodes to listen to. It is called the Dropped Dice Massacre. Perfect name. Go and check them out. It was a really, really fun way for me to have my first 3.0 event. So bearing in mind 3.0 came out in July, I hadn't actually been to an event until the end of September, which is a bit crazy. Played at home, played in the shed, but I hadn't had the opportunity to attend an event, and I was a little bit nervous. One of the cool things about the event is that everybody was able to bring a free 20-man militia unit, which tied into local forces fighting for either loyalists or traitors. There was also some cool dynamics in terms of the loyalists had to take or could take some recon units or had to take some recon units, whereas the traitors were able to make some of their units stubborn. Now, me being me, I'll be honest, I was completely overwhelmed. Taking Mechanicum to an event for the first time, I reckon it gives Stephen Hawking a headache trying to basically build an army list, let alone play them. They're so complicated. There is rules upon rules upon rules. But I really enjoy how they play once you figure them out. So I was determined to take Mech to Greetings and see how they fared. And to be fair, they did actually do quite well. They played kind of how I wanted them to play, if that makes sense. So highlights from the weekend, from any Greetings weekend, is you have to start with bingo, because we play bingo on Saturday night. Yes, it's amazing because you play for heresy prizes. You have to say Lord's Kitchen because Chris's food is absolutely sensational. In terms of the games, I think I was really lucky. I played Matt Fuller's Ultramarines. I played a chap called Isaac with Thousand Suns. I don't even remember the last time I even saw Thousand Suns at an event, let alone actually play them, which was really, really cool. We actually had a really, really rules-focused game, and we were really deep diving into absolutely everything, and actually really that was probably one of my favourite games because I learned so much, and he was really patient, and yeah, it was just a really, really good game. Bucket list game against Sam, 30k hole, with his salamanders. He's got an absolutely cracking force. I'd never met him before, but he's a fantastically nice chap, and we had a really nice game. And it was just really nice to actually appreciate his salamanders in the flesh. And then lastly, I got grudged by Valco, Matt. We played game 4. I feel really bad about this game because it was kill points, it was Dawn of War deployment. Matt was just basically running at what was a very shooty Mechanicum army, and yeah, he just took it like an absolute boss. He was just literally just taking handfuls of models off, and it's like in the end it was just like fine. Like turn 3, he was able to get some charges off and started causing some damage. But yeah, absolute legend, smile on his face the whole game. Really nice to hang out with him. It was the first time we played as well. Again, it was a fantastic way to end the weekend. Moving into October, I headed to Attrition Wargaming down near Southampton. Ironically, Greetings is at Northampton, Attrition is at near Southampton. I always love going down to see Neil and Reese. As much as I liked their old venue because it was an old working men's club. It had a bit of character. It was very tired at the end, and their new venue is amazing. It's a village hall, modern village hall with like air conditioning. It's got a really good kitchen, really good facilities, and probably two of the best things: free parking for starters. But secondly, there is a pub directly opposite, and everyone goes there on the Saturday night for some food, a bit of a catch up, and a bit of a debrief after a day's gaming. It's a really, really, really good location. So the event itself was blackout, and the way that Neil and Reese run their events is that it will be a series of games or a series of events throughout the year, and they try and maintain that narrative as you progress through each event. And similar with Greetings, I'll make every effort to get down to Attrition because they always put on a really good show. In terms of the event pack, I would say that Neil always puts together some really, really interesting, dynamic, and sometimes left field in a good way missions. And I'd even go as far to say that Neil is probably one of the best event pack writers that we've got here in the UK because his missions are always spot on. They're watertight, they're really clear, and they're always a lot of fun. Again, we played 4 games, 3,000 points. I took Mechanicum again because I felt like I was starting to get my head around them after Greetings the week before. And game 1, I got mashed up against Reese, and I couldn't be any more happier. I absolutely love playing Reese. He's so much fun to play. His Imperial Fist army it's ironic because he started building it in 2.0, but it is an absolute animal in 3, and he just fully embraces it. Makes no apologies. It is like literally the best anti-mech list that you can probably you could devise because everything's like multi-damage, high strength templates. It absolutely ruins Castellax, Thalax, Myrmidons, anything it shoots at. I'm just going to be removing models. So that was a great way to start the weekend's gaming. I then played Rift Forge Sean's Sons of Horus. Again, fantastically nice chap. Got a lot of time for him. Again, his Sons of Horus army is another one of those armies that if you look at in the flesh, it's really, really nice, and it looks, again, even better. And I never feel that my photos do his models justice. We had a really funny game, and essentially, if I could have, I think, got Vanguard or scored an objective at the end of the game, I would have been able to win the game by a point or something silly. But if he moved off the objective, I couldn't do either, or something like that. So I just went, I need to do this, and he goes, well, I'm going to do that. So we just shook hands and said, cool. I think it was a draw, or it might have been a loss by 2 or something like that. But it was just one of those really things like, there's nothing I can do. But yeah, it was just a really fun game, and we had good laughs. It was good. It was a good game. Games 3 and 4. 3 was against Neil, aka LARP Sidekick, the Better Brother, as he's also known. When I walked up to the table to play Neil, I was really surprised that he had Dark Angels because he normally runs Alpha Legion, but Dark Angels was a kind of a pleasant pleasant surprise. It was a Legion I hadn't played yet, and it, there's quite a lot of interesting interactions. Um, and then I ended up the last game of the weekend was against Mac, and Mac, bless him, legend. He's been on the channel previously. He was running his Custodes. Normally, Custodes would send a shiver down my spine, but he fully is like just the shenanigans of the hobby. So the core of his army is essentially the Brian Blessed Hawkmen. Um, and again, I felt really bad. It was predominantly a kill points mission. He had to come across the table to me, and I think he just kept the. Forgive me, I forget the name. I could stop, but I'm in the flow, so I'm going to keep talking about it. I'll put it down here what they're properly called. I mean, he can't pronounce half the weapons, so how can I learn the units? Highlights from the attrition weekend was playing Neil with his Dark Angels. I've never played Neil before, and I've been wanting to play Neil for ages. I had 4 fantastic games, which I can't grumble about at all. I was really lucky in that respect. And I think probably the highlight was the biggest highlight was seeing Mac pick up his second favourite player award 2 weekends on the bounce, which I just think, absolute credit to the guy and fair play, because he absolutely deserved it. Turning to event number 3 was the Other Partizan, which is a historical wargaming show at Newark Showground. Now I'm going to read this from my notes to kind of accurately define what the event's all about. It's stated as being one of the premier tabletop wargaming shows in the UK, showcasing stunning historical, fantasy and sci-fi demo games, detailed miniature displays and participation games. The event also features numerous trade stands for hobbyists to purchase figures and supplies. For me, one of the best things about going to Partizan is you can just walk around for quite literally hours, and you've just got so many different participation games. So you've got different clubs throughout the country that will say, right, that weekend we're going to bring a Napoleonics board, or we're going to play a Vietnam War themed game. We've seen Lord of the Rings. I think we've seen Space Hulk. We've seen you often see quite a few 4th, 5th, 6th edition Warhammer Fantasy Battle events, like games going on. But you also see bolt action and all kinds of other historicals that I don't even know what they are. But that's the real joy of it, is that you can just walk up to a table and go, what's this all about? And someone will take the time to go through the game with you. You can get involved, roll some dice, move some units. If you're going to do that, make sure you've not just been eating chicken, KFC with your hands. But it's just like a really nice, inclusive, relaxed atmosphere, and yeah, it's just a really, really nice experience. Now, one of the highlights from Partizan was discovering Joe Bilton's 1944 destroyed town of Cannes, as it may have looked during World War II. What I think was incredible was both the actual overall size of the table and the attention to detail, and the fact that he'd actually based the table off historic maps of the town, recreated the street pattern, and then built the buildings up, presumably from historical references and whatnot. So we were speaking to Joe. He was telling us the fact that he built it all in like 2 months, which is absolutely insane. The amount of attention to detail and his method was actually quite simple, and it was just a case of rinse and repeat, to the point where he was actually producing two buildings a night. This is also whilst working full time. He scratch built the cathedral. There was another church again with like some broken pews, which just looked absolutely incredible. And the base of the whole table, he used the vulcanized rubber mats that you might get in a gym, or you can sometimes get them in workshop floors and whatever. He'd actually flipped it round so you've got the flat, smooth side. He then used an iron and then a press mold. So he'd heat up the rubber and then he'd press in like a tile press mold, and he had to repeat that. And he said it took him something like 17 hours just to impress the floor mats or the floor tiles for the table, which is absolutely insane. So that drew us into the table. We were like, that looks absolutely insane. From my point of view, as someone who likes to go to events, take photos, I was just literally drooling all over this table. It was absolutely stunning. When we actually got talking to them, we were like, oh, what's going on? And they're saying, oh, we're playing a game called What a Tanker. Now, I'd not heard this before, but it is a game that's made by two fat lardies. You can purchase this online from their web store. I think they're only doing electronic copies. I think they've stopped running them in actual physical copies, but you can get a digital copy online. And essentially, it is a tank skirmish game. So they had a number of World War II vehicles painted to an incredibly high standard. I think there was 8 players, 4 players aside. You literally just walked up, you could grab a tank. They they very helpfully explain what the rules are, but it's all very fast and loose, and it's probably one of the best beer and pretzel games I've come across for kind of like World War II bolt action related or bolt action adjacent kind of games. I had a Firefly, I think Andy had a Tiger, and it was just literally we were just like trying to just basically do each other over, and it was great fun. And we were probably at the table for the best part of an hour. And the number of people that just came past and just were like, oh my god, that is insane. Like that for me is hobby goals. That table was just incredible. And I think that's what kind of goes to the heart of the Other Partizan for these events, is that people will go to these events, they put on participation games, the club puts loads of effort into the terrain, they try and get people involved, and then people are actually rewarded for that. And it was really pleasing to see that Joe did actually get best in show, because it was, without question, absolutely deserved. Event number 4 was the big one. Malmo Wargaming Weekend number 9. So what is it? It is essentially Sweden's kind of national event. It's volunteer led, although it's done under the kind of leadership of a chap called Kato, lovely chap. He pulls in different groups from the immediate area, and they all go, right, I'm going to do Heresy, I'm going to do 40k, I'm going to do Sigmar. And this is their 9th event. It's insane to think that they have now got to the point where they've found a hotel on the outskirts of Malmo called the Quality View Hotel. In the UK, if you heard the Quality View Hotel, you'd be really worried, but I assure you, the hotel is amazing. They basically take up all of the conference space on ground and first floor now to run their events. So they've got over 140k players. They've got, I think they had 70 Heresy players. They had Age of Sigmar, and I think they might have had a couple of other games going on. So this year, the event itself was run by a chap called Gustav, who I understand has historically done quite a lot with the 40k, but he wanted to move away from 40k and play a decent game. And he was supported by Chris and Oscar, who have previously had involvement with running the Heresy events. But this year, Chris and Oscar were predominantly just providing the terrain. So it was actually quite nice to see them playing and being able to kind of enjoy it from a player's point of view rather than being the organisers. Friday, mandatory trip into Copenhagen. Gibbo, he'd come in on the night train. He got in quite late. He got one of the last flights into Copenhagen. We met for breakfast with Rob, Beth. But the 4 of us, me, Gibbo, Beth and Rob, headed into Copenhagen on the train. So we went to like the Kriegs Museum, went and saw Rosenborg Castle, and literally I kind of did the route where I was like, there's a pastry shop between here and here, so if we just do a little detour, we can get a pastry here, and if we go this way, we can get another pastry here. So the unwritten rule for Malmo Wargaming Weekend is on the Friday night, I have a warm-up game with my buddy Blom. And he had his Ultramarines, I was playing Mech. And in all fairness, it was just one of those games, people were just walking over, we were just playing, rolling dice, having fun, having a laugh, catching up with people. And he's like, we had a couple of objectives on the table, and he's like, what's that worth? Oh, let's just call it 4 VPs. Oh, what's that? Oh, 7, who cares? And then we actually tallied up at the end and we drew. Turning to the event itself, it was 2,500 points. We played 5 games, which is a lot. So we played 3 games on the Saturday, 2 games on the Sunday. Game one, I was super excited. I got to play August. I got to play Sons of Horus. His Sons of Horus are fantastic. He properly rushed me turn one. Like, he threw his tanks up the table. He had 2 Land Raiders and a Rhino. And he was in my deployment turn one, and I was like, oh my days, what is going on? Like, I hadn't really experienced like such Viking aggression before. And I was just like, what do I do? And I was literally spent the whole game just fighting for my life. It was just a really like just crazy first game. Second game, I played Pow, aka the Spicy Burrito. He's got Emperor's Children, really nice force. It's actually quite a traditional. It's kind of like a second edition force in terms of lots of troops. He had a couple of tanks, but it was troop heavy, and we were both quite nervous of each other's army. And it got to the point. It literally got to the last play of the game, and one of the special rules that Gustav introduced was last blood, and I really like this. So if you kill the player who's the last to kill a unit at the end of the game gets a victory point. And it was just like, okay, this is really different. This is really fun. But there was a point where last turn of the game, I had my Thanatar Calyx, and I needed to basically destroy a unit to get last blood. And I was looking at the table, and Power goes, oh, he's looked at me and goes, I've got a tech marine that you can see. And he's like, if you kill him, you'll draw the game. So we just went, all right then. So 2 shots, 2 hits. It's a strength 10 weapon, so two wounds. And he rolled 2 dice. The first one I saw was a 5, and I was like, oh, you're joking. And then he just slowly pushed the other one out from behind the terrain, and it was like a 1 or something, and it was a draw. So it was like a really nice way to end that game. It was just absolute shenanigans. Game 3, I played Solar Auxilia, a chap called Axel. Axel's such a nice bloke. He's literally the heart. I'd say that he's probably got the heart of the event. He is just such a lovely chap. His Solar Auxilia is a fantastic force, some really nice little conversions and stuff that he's adapted to represent how he wants the army to look. And it was just one of those games where it was just like, I'm facing a tank gun line. This is like playing Imperial Guard. And I hadn't really got very much ranged anti-tank. So I just thought, when in Malmo, be a Viking, and just threw my army up the table as quick as I could and just start getting on the objectives and start scoring some points. So it was just one of those games where I was absolutely terrified. He was tearing chunks out of my force, and I think the points were really close up until like maybe turn 4. And then that just changed the game just in like the last kind of moments of the game, and it was just a really nice way to finish Saturday's gaming. But it didn't stop there. So the event finished about 7:30 on the Saturday night. There's loads of eateries and loads of places that you can go and grab some food from, either in the hotel or outside. We kind of got back into the venue, I think about 9 o'clock, back to the bar about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and there was quite a few heresy players wandering around. And Gustav, the event organizer, was just like ushering people back into the gaming hall, and he's like, right, we're going to have a challenge off. Everyone go and get your HQs, we're going to have a challenge off. And it was actually like a really nice way to spend the evening, because people would be able to go to the bar, bring some booze through, everybody was keep being sensible, loads of tables dotted around, people just setting up, right, go, bang, 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 going through the challenge. So that was like a really nice interactive way to get people socialising, because it's quite easy at these kind of events to just kind of drift off. But it was definitely a really, really cool interactive way to keep people busy and engaged and feel like they're involved for like the whole weekend. Sunday was quite interesting. Get up. The breakfast at the hotel are absolutely amazing. Like, absolutely embrace that. They even serve English breakfast tea, which is 2 thumbs up from me. Walk into the room. Game 4. Linus, aka Mossberg Minis, with his lovely Sons of Horus and Night Lord's army. That's another army that looks even better in the flesh than it does online, and it does look really good online. Linus and I have been talking for about 5 years, so the opportunity to get a game in was just absolutely amazing, and I felt very fortunate to get that game in. What was even better, that after the game ended, we went for lunch, we came back, we walked into the room together talking about how good the first game was. And owing to a small admin error, we were playing again, and we just looked at each other and just went, yeah, sound, let's do it again. So we re-racked, moved tables, new mission, bosh, go. So being able to spend pretty much all day Sunday with Linus just rolling dice, very nice very chilled, very relaxed. Some absolutely horrific dice rolling on his part, like failing some like 4-inch charges and stuff. Absolutely brutal, but very much, very loads of fun, and a fantastic player. For me, the highlight of Malmo is just Malmo itself. In my mind, in my experience, it ticks all of the right boxes. Really easy to get to. It's really affordable. The organisers put on a really good show. The standard hobby just gets better every year. And if I'm honest, if you want to do it, next year's the 10th anniversary. I think it's incredible that they've been running it for 10 years. It just seems to be going from strength to strength, and it's just a fantastic opportunity for everybody to get together, stay in the same hotel. The venue's really nice, the food's really nice, the games are really good, the train's really good. Yeah, it just ticks all of the boxes. I think the big thing for me is the fact that every year I go back and you get to see the people that you follow online from that part of the world. You know, it's unfair for me to just list like individuals, because there's some fantastic hobbyists in that part of the world, and being able to go overseas, catch up with them, spend some time, talk hobby, see their latest stuff they're working on, and as well as meeting loads of new people is just, yeah, that's what the hobby is about to me. Event number 5 was an event I was hosting here in Peterborough. It's a small campaign that we've been running, about 20-30 players depending on like availability, and the whole premise of the campaign was it was a Hedder XV is a backwater planet. It's deep inside loyalist territory, of no consequence or real interest to loyalist forces, and as such it's only afforded, you know, very limited resources in terms of predominantly PDF and militia forces rather than your frontline Caesarian specialist elite forces. Obviously things have progressed throughout the campaign, as key kind of milestones and objectives were kind of achieved by both sides. You had like a really big crazy invasion from the traitor forces, because Horus in his almighty wisdom identified the planet as having warproof potential. So we had this big suicidal crazy traitor invasion of the planet, which was aptly named Fuck, because the loyalist forces were looking up going fuck. It was a surprise attack, you know, it wasn't anticipated at all. Through the first event, it was really funny because I tried really hard to make sure the missions were slightly in favour of the traitor forces. At the end of game 1, the loyalists were winning by 1 campaign point. At the end of the second game, the loyalists were winning by 2 campaign points, by which point I was literally swearing. Game 3, thankfully, traitors turned it around, captured the planet, and the narrative was set for the planet. Well, what I'm pleased to say is that whilst it was a hard-fought battle by the loyalist forces, traitors did run away with the campaign points, and the victory points were very, very close. I think it was like 10 points in it, bearing in mind both sides scored like 1,000 points each. So the fact that it came down to like 10 campaign points was just absolutely insane. There we have it. 5 events, 5 weekends. Would I do it again? No. I would not. That you can have too much of a good thing. I think for me personally, where my health is at the moment, I have to be very careful. I think if it was me 10, 20 years ago, yeah, no problem, would have been fine. But yeah, it's been a fantastic couple of weeks. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you're still here, thank you very much for watching all the way through. I hope you've gotten something from it. I've got you excited about attending one of these events in the future. And you know, if you like the video, please comment below. If you really like it, you can smash the like button, and if you really, you know, if you like it even more, tell a friend. Until next time, cheers. We did a whistle top store. We did a whistle stop tour of some of the more, for me, it's the last campaign of the year where we've been fighting over. Henrik, you fucking prick. So you've just notified, I've got a notification from Henrik Rasmussen saying lunch on a day off. And it looks like someone's thrown up. on a plate. Thanks, buddy.